I think English. Huh? Du sprichst auch Deutsch? No, so yeah. I need. Oh, you don't find it. Okay, no problem. Yeah, we'll work out. You can give me also on the phone. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Channa Balamba Giribharadhari Gopi Chana Balamba Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Prajajanarandana Yashodanandana Prajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Radha Madhava Ki Srila Prabhu Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, Chapter 17, Maharaj Prithu becomes angry at the earth, text 29. Darovacha Nama Parasmai Purushaya Mayaya Nama Parasmai Purushaya Mayaya Vinyastanana Tanave Gunatmane Vinyastanana Tanave Gunatmane Namasvaruphanupavena Nirduta Namasvaruphanupavena Nirduta Dravya Kriyakaraka Vipramormaye Dravya Kriyakaraka Vipramormaye. Okay, please. More? No? Mataji's? Dara, the planet Earth, Uvacha, said, Namaha, I offer my obeisances, Parasmai, unto the transcendence, Purushaya, unto the person, Mayaya, by the material energy, Vinyasta, expanded, Nana, various, Tanave, whose forms, Guna Atmane, unto the source of the three modes of material nature. Namaha, I offer my obeisances. Svarupa, of the real form. Anubhavena, by understanding. Nirduta, not affected by. Dravya, matter. Kriya, action. Karaka, doer. Vibrama, bewilderment. Urmaye, the waves of material existence. The planet Earth spoke, My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are transcendental in your position, and by your material energy you have expanded yourself in various forms and species of life through the interaction of the three modes of material nature. Unlike some other masters, you always remain in your transcendental position and are not affected by the material creation, which is subject to different material interactions. Consequently, you are not bewildered by material activities. Purport. So, my dear devotees, the purport is a bit long, 1.5 pages. So, this is an exercise now in attention, keeping attention. After King Prithu gave his royal command, the planet Earth, in the shape of a cow, could understand that the king was a directly empowered incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the king knew everything, past, present, and future. Thus, there was no possibility of the earth cheating him. The earth was accused of hiding the seeds of all herbs and grains, and therefore she is prepared to explain how the seeds of these herbs and grains can be again exposed. The earth knew that the king was very angry with her, and she realized that unless she pacified his anger, there was no possibility of placing a positive program before him. Therefore, in the beginning of her speech, she very humbly presents herself as a part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's body. She submits that the various bodily forms manifest in the physical world are but different parts and parcels of the Supreme Gigantic Body. It is said that the lower planetary systems are the parts and parcels of the legs of the Lord, whereas the upper planetary systems are parts and parcels of the Lord's head. The Lord creates this material world by his external energy, but this external energy is in one sense not different from him. Yet at the same time the Lord is not directly manifest in the external energy, but is always situated in the spiritual energy. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Mayadya Kshena Prakriti, material nature is working under the direction of the Lord. Therefore the Lord is not unattached to the external energy, and he is addressed in this verse as Guna Atma, the source of the three modes of material nature. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 13:15, Nirgunam Guna Bhoktricha. Although the Lord is not attached to the external energy, he is nonetheless the master of it. The philosophy of Lord Chaitanya, upholding that the Lord is simultaneously one with and different from his creation, Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, is very easily understandable in this connection. The planet Earth explains that although the Lord is attached to the external energy, he is nirduta. He is completely free from the activities of the external energy. The Lord is always situated in his internal energy. Therefore, in this verse it is stated, Swarupa Anubhavena. The Lord remains completely in his internal potency, and yet has full knowledge of the external energy as well as the internal energy, just as his devotee remains always in a transcendental position, keeping himself in the service of the Lord without becoming attached to the material body. Srila Rupa Goswami says that the devotee who is always engaged in the devotional service of the Lord is always liberated regardless of his material situation. If it is possible for a devotee to remain transcendental, it is certainly possible for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to remain in his internal potency without being attached to the external potency. There should be no difficulty in understanding this situation. Just as a devotee is never bewildered by his material body, the Lord is never bewildered by the external energy of this material world. A devotee is not hampered by the material body, although he is situated in a physical body that runs according to so many material conditions. Just as there are 5 kinds of air functioning within the body and so many organs, the hands, legs, tongue, genitals, rectum, etc., all working differently. The spirit soul, the living entity, who is in full knowledge of his position, is always engaged in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and is not concerned with the bodily functions. Although the Lord is connected with the material world, he is always situated in his spiritual energy and is always unattached to the functions of the material world. As far as the material body is concerned, there are 6 waves, or symptomatic material conditions: hunger, thirst, lamentation, bewilderment, old age, and death. The liberated soul is never concerned with these 6 physical interactions. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the all-powerful master of all energies, has some connection with the external energy, but he is always free from the interactions of the external energy in the material world. Homa Yajna Timirandasya Gyananjana Jalakaya Chakshurum Militam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangung Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamang Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Dina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swabanantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The planet Earth spoke, my dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are transcendental in your position, and by your material energy you have expanded yourself in various forms and species of life through the interaction of the 3 modes of material nature. Unlike some other masters, you always remain in your transcendental position and are not affected by the material creation, which is subject to different material interactions. Consequently, you are not bewildered by material activities. So of course, many things were interesting and striking, but one sentence Prabhupada said here, which I found a bit humorous, where he says, there should be no difficulty in understanding this situation. After going into quite complicated things, actually. He says, there should be no difficulty in understanding this situation. So, meaning we should try to understand what was explained here, and there should be no difficulty. And superficially viewed are these topics, not so difficult, but when you go more into detail, they are difficult, especially the practical application. This is most difficult, because more or less Prabhupada explains here in the end especially that a devotee is not at all concerned about the material energy. Okay, focus is on a devotee. So if a devotee is not concerned with the material energy, what does this make us? Okay, if you're not concerned with material energy, you're a devotee. If you're concerned with material energy, you're not a devotee. Yeah, that's why sometimes Prabhupada says Vaishnava is very high. Vaishnava is very high. Oh, I'm a Vaishnava. Oh, no, we're trying to become Vaishnavas. Yeah. Pure devotees, yeah. So, yeah, from Prabhupada's point of view, it's very easy, but from a conditioned point of view, this is very, very, very difficult. Become not concerned with material energy. Material energy is very, very powerful. And everyone knows that. We have so many problems through this material energy, especially through our mind, actually. Actually, material energy is not the problem. It's our mind, our consciousness, our attachments, the influence material energy has on us. This is the problem. And Prabhupada explains that because he gives the example of the Lord being a spiritual being. He is not concerned with material energy. Material energy is not affecting him, and the soul is also spiritual. He shouldn't be affected by material energy either. Yeah. Or let's say the capacity is there. As the Lord can be completely detached, also the soul can be detached. And he quotes this verse, I forgot the Sanskrit. It was Iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasa gira nikila vas. What was it? And then the last line was Nikila, and then Jivan samukta uchyate. Yeah, Jivan mukta. This verse from Prabhupada says. Rupa Goswami quotes this from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where it said that if a soul is completely engaged in spiritual activities with karmana manasa gira, with activities, with the mind and with the speech, so being completely engaged in spiritual activities, then Jivan mukta sa uchyate, such a soul is called liberated. Such a soul is liberated. And Prabhupada gives this example, as far as I remember, of the coconut. It says when there's a coconut, when it's ripe, then the inside is not attached anymore to the shell, right? And when you shake it, you can hear it also. In the same way, a soul is inside this body, but is not connected anymore to the body. It's not attached to the body. It's actually liberated inside the body and inside the material situation. The material energy doesn't affect the soul anymore. And Krishna explains a lot about this in Bhagavad Gita, of being free from all these influences of material nature, being free from all these dualities. Yeah, in so many verses he explains that. And that sounds all good and well, but how much have we realized that? Prabhupada says here also the 6 waves or symptomatic material conditions: hunger, thirst, lamentation, bewilderment, old age, and death. Okay, so we can go through all of them. How detached are we? First, hunger. Okay, hunger. How detached are you from hunger? Yesterday was Ekadashi, right? Maybe someone fasted completely, but today not anymore. Okay. So maybe you fasted. Most of us probably not. Most eat something, but we fast from grains and all that. So we kind of fast, right? Yeah. Ekadashi, anyway, it's a different topic, but when it's said you shouldn't eat grain and all that, what we don't eat, it doesn't mean that we, on the other side, we make a feast out of whatever we can eat, right? Actually, it was meant to eat simple, just some fruit, as much as needed, just, and chant all day and study all day. Rarely we do that. Sometimes we do that when we understand, we should do that, and we do something special. But in general, it's like any normal day, and we just eat then instead of chapatis and dal, we eat goranga potatoes, which are often for devotees anyway more tasty. They think, yeah, Ekadashi actually, very good. Shrikant and goranga potatoes. We don't have that every day. So we compensate, right? We compensate. We cannot eat our regular feast, so we have to compensate with Shrikant and goranga potatoes, which kind of doesn't serve the point of Ekadashi. Ekadashi should be simple. Yeah, and you should eat only very simple, frugally. And only if needed also. Only if you really have hunger, okay, you chant all day, and then you feel a little bit hunger, okay, throw in 2-3 walnuts, which serve the purpose, and then you can keep on chanting. This is kind of the idea of Ekadashi, right? And some go even further, they don't eat at all. They say, no, I don't even eat these 2 walnuts, I tolerate the pain, and maybe And Prabhupada says, when you fast and you are hungry, just drink some water. That helps, it's true, right? Sometimes it's true, you drink some water, something is in the belly. It's not like really helping, but for some time it helps. Huh? So then you say, no, I don't even drink. And then they go further and they say, I don't even sleep, fully absorbed, and it should be a day for renunciation, and it's very healthy also. It's also very, very healthy, because we eat so many things, and sometimes the body needs some rest, the digestive system needs some rest, and it's very good when we don't eat, and it's very healthy also. Anyway, but I just say, how much can we really tolerate hunger? Not really, right? Not really. Maybe this Bhima Ekadashi, once a year we do it, and actually if it's one a year, it's actually nice, and you do something special. But that's about it, Hunger, very difficult. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days not eating. Who is doing that, right? Wasn't it that Jesus was fasting 40 days? Was it 40 days? Yeah, and our great acharyas, they can do that. And okay, and then thirst, even more difficult. How much you can drink, similar thing, very difficult. Lamentation. Who is not lamenting? Yeah. The less you have, the less sources of lamentation you have, the less you lament. But if you have many sources for lamentation, meaning you have many things to lose, there are many things which can kind of break or harm you, the more you lament. So the more you have, the more you can lament. The less you have, the less lamentation is there. This is why the renunciation situation is very, very good for spiritual life. You have nothing to lament, right? Because you have no money. This is a big source of lamentation, because government takes it all away. You work hard, do this and that. You think, oh, nice, I have so much money now. And then by the end of the year, government comes, takes half of it away. And no, I worked so hard for it. Yes, good. Work more. We take more. They rip you off. Money, then family situation, always some trouble. Children, especially nowadays, because this state is such a demonic state, actually wants to control everything, and especially children, and you have to do this and that, and you have to worry about it. So life becomes very, very, not nice. So lamentation, so many things to lament. Yeah, if you lose something, or if you can lose some. Bewilderment, bewilderment. We're always bewildered also. Old age, you're all young. We are all young. It's okay. But when you get a bit older and you're still good. Super, no? Also little. Yeah. So I also, it starts already, it goes like this, and then goes like this. You have only here, and here, yeah. It takes all kinds of weird forms. And look in the mirror, oh no! And as a brahmachari, you think, no problem, and I can be bald, I don't need hair. But then you marry, and then suddenly your beauty is a bit more relevant, in front of your wife or something. No? You lose your hair already, you get old. Oh. So old age, and then you forget things. And what was it? What was it? What I wanted to do now? What was it? What I planned to do yesterday, or what was yesterday or 2 weeks? No, I thought something now, but where was it? The thought slipped just 5 seconds ago. I thought something and I forgot already. What was it? Yeah, become old. The teeth become loose. Cannot eat anymore. All the teeth fall out. You don't have any teeth anymore. Now there's no problem. You have implants and all that. But before it was not like this. So the old people, they had no teeth. And they were becoming old and wrinkled and ugly and gray and bald and frail. And what is then nice to live? Huh? What is then nice to live here? Just an old body and can't do anything anymore. Just die. Better just die. Be dead. Yeah, that's better. And they do actually. Old people die anyways. So then you look forward. Yes, please, my dear death, take me away. There's no purpose anymore to fulfill here. But the devotee, if he does it properly, he has no problem with that. Because the older he gets, the more wise he becomes. Right? So this should be in proportion. Yeah? Old age and wisdom should go proportionally. And actually then you think it's good to be old because the wisdom, it replaces all the pleasures of youth. And you look back and say, I was young, I had this and that pleasures. But actually, now, I'm happy I'm not that young and stupid anymore. I might have had more beauty and youth and spirit and strength, but I wasn't wise. Now it's better to have wisdom and actually have Krishna consciousness. So actually, with the age, also our Krishna consciousness should grow, and then we can compensate. Yeah? This compensates the losing of the youthfulness. No problem. We can become old and wise, and this is why in ancient civilizations, the old people, they were so honored just because they were old, because it was expected from them that they are wise and they serve a purpose. And the young were going to them, and they had so much wisdom. They had a whole life to look back on, and they went through all the things which the young people have ahead, and they can tell them and help them. And on top, of course, if they are spiritual, Krishna conscious, then it's amazing. So these old people are very, very important. But nowadays, the old people, they're actually not wise. They are just grumpy, and they look on the young people. This youth, what are they doing? It's terrible. In my time, it was way better. Right? It's always like this. The old people, they complain about the young. How are they dressing? How are they looking? What are they doing? It's terrible. The youth nowadays is terrible. But funny, when they were young, the old people were complaining about them also. It's always like this. I told this also once in a lecture. I heard in ancient Egypt, they found an ancient Egyptian scroll, like thousands of years old, and the scribe was complaining about the youth. Somehow there was something, the youth of nowadays in ancient Egypt. I don't know what the Egyptian punks, or I don't know what they were doing with their, stone sound blasters, or I don't know what were they doing. I don't know. Anyway. They are not living in Stone Age, but they were for sure they had their youth stuff, whatever they were doing, riding on stone skateboards. I don't know what they were doing. Yeah, but some or other, this is normal because a new generation is completely different, and some things go into different directions. Anyway, so old age shouldn't be of a concern for a devotee, and then in the end, death. No, death. It's also a problem, right? Death. how much are we affected by death? Yeah, now we don't think so much about it, but in time, time will tell us that the end is coming closer. And I heard that people kind of know, when we are a bit more open, that you kind of know that your death is coming, when it's coming really close. There are some indications. Like the elephants, the elephants, when they know they die, they go to this elephant graveyard where they all die. You know this? I know, I just saw it in the Winnetou movies. It's really true. I thought it's really true. That they have to, oh no, I will die, the old elephant, and they go to this certain place and where they all die, and then all the tusks are lying there, and this is why the Indians and the cowboys, they wanted to go there to get the tusks. The ivory. But it's interesting. I experienced it also. I had one friend of mine, and he was, we were very young at that time. He was 19 and I was like 21. And he was a real enjoyer, a real great sense enjoyer. He was looking good, he was courageous, he was charismatic, he was, good young boy, right? Very, very beloved by the girls. This was the best, of course. All the girls loved him. He was great. He was great, and he did so many things, weird things also. And he was a good friend of mine. I knew him for my whole life. He was like 2 years younger than me, and my parents and his parents This was like a clique at their time in the 80s, So whenever they were, I was growing up in the 80s, so they made parties. Maybe also in your youth you did parties. You invited all your friends to your house and you did a party. And so my parents were just doing that also, but I was a very small child, so I was kind of hanging around these parties. So I knew him my whole life, and then one evening he comes to me and he was really concerned, and I never experienced him like this. He was always like jolly and happy and enjoying life, and I do this and that, and one evening he was like completely different. And he was regretting all the things he did, especially with the girls, because recently he had a relationship and he was betraying her with another girl from our clique, and then she found out, but he was kind of, and suddenly all this, he realized what he was doing to people, right, especially the girls, that they were hurt by his behavior. But before I didn't care at all, what do I care? And then he was kind of, I'm so terrible, I did this terrible thing, and what can I do? And he was almost crying. And at that time I was becoming a devotee, so I was already kind of having some morals. We shouldn't do these things and behave nicely. And I was at that time kind of in my Jesus mood, right? Being very nice to everyone, invite everyone, and being a good, how's it called? Gastgeber? Host, being a good host, serving all my friends. So they like to come to me. I was serving them to eat, to drink, some marijuana, whatever they needed, I was serving them very graciously, and my house was kind of like this safe haven in the material world, very, very happy. So and I understood. Actually, it's very good that you're so sad, and it's very good that you regret all that, because you understand that you did something wrong. It's very good. You never thought about it before, because I was also changing my mind at that time. So I said, yeah, it's painful, but it's true, and yeah, you should regret that and change and become a good person, and just don't do it, and your conscience is awakening. And he said, yeah, it's good. And so we went to the other room, and he had to leave then, and he greeted everyone to say goodbye very nicely. Never did that before. It was really, bye, I'll see you later. And he was hugging everyone, and he was really emotional and regretting, kind of a weird state of consciousness, and really regretting. So and then he left, and then next morning, my friend, who is actually now in Mayapur, Pradyumna, he came to my house. At that time, we had cell phones, but I knew, because it was the beginning with the cell phones, was beginning of 2000. And he came to my house, and he had to work actually, and so he came, and he was really shocked. And he said, he said not Ananda, because I was not Ananda at that time. He said, our friend died at night. Because when he left, he drove with a car in a car accident. He's dead now. I was, whoa. This was, of course, big shock. But now later on I could realize, man, the death, made his appearance, and when the death comes, people start to think, and this is this effect it had on him. No? And this is the maximum he could take out of it. A devotee, when he gets to know I will die, he will, change and chant and excuse. If there are still some open things, excuse this and that. Get your life in order. But this was the maximum he could do, that at least regret what he did. Had not enough time to to change everything, but at least this is the first step. So it was very interesting, actually. And also in the evening, because Pradyumna and myself, we were visiting the temple at that time already, so we had malas. And he asked Pradyumna if he can have his mala. It was a knee mala, but at least that. So he was dying with this mala around his neck in the car, because he was dying then at the accident site, kind of the emergency people came and they tried to reanimate him or something, but he was dying there then. Yeah. So, but at least that, at least something, because then in this situation when death comes, you don't know it maybe consciously, but unconsciously the soul kind of knows, and it wants to grasp some, straw of shelter, whatever it can reach to get in a better position, because death is so powerful. And takes you away, as we know, Yamaraj or Yamadutas, you cannot do anything. What do you want to do? Want to fight them? Stay away, run away from them? Actually, they say there is something like, it's called terminal restlessness. Maybe you heard about this? Terminal restlessness. It's when people die, in the last moments, they become very restless. That's why they call restlessness, restless. They become really hyper energetic and scared. And sometimes even people who were lying weak on the bed. For many weeks they were lying weak on the bed, they couldn't move anymore, and suddenly they jump up from the bed, they run around, and are completely horrified. Oh no, and scream and all that. And some devotees say it's because they see the Yamadutas. It's because they see the Yamadutas. Yeah. Actually, there's one account of a Mataji, she wrote online that she was with her father when he was dying, and he had that. And her son, who was also a devotee, was a small boy, he kind of said, oh, Mama, he sees the Yamadutas. Because sometimes children, they have more sense for such things, right? And what we want to do, run away from the Yamadutas, right? But I wonder if he was a devotee, and how can the Yamadutas come then anyways? But anyways, who knows how all that works then in the end? Because we read this in the scriptures, but how it looks like in the end, in real life, in real time, who knows? And it's way more actually complicated also. No? Sometimes Shastra gives more a simple description of what will come. So when it said Yamadutas, they have these scary faces, angry eyes, and very, very pointy teeth, and they look scary. You think, well, okay, like scary, but if you see them in real life, man, I think you are. This is like horror. Most horrible beings. They are so scary and so powerful and so tall, and you can't do anything. And imagine they have you in their grip. Yeah? So the soul gets really terrified, and then they drag you through all these worlds. And it's said the soul travels this huge distance in a blink of an eye. Right? In Bhagavatam is said, in the blink of an eye, the soul is transported to this nether regions of the universe. And then they stand in front of Yamaraj. And especially these are the sinful souls, right? The sinful souls. And then Yamaraj is sending them to hell. Oh my God. And then you read all that in the Bhagavatam. Oh, the hell, this and that. And these are real bad worlds. This is really terrible. So, but of course for a devotee we hear that death is shouldn't be an issue. Yeah. And it said even Dhruva Maharaj, he was stepping on the head of the death. It's such a funny description. He was stepping on the head of the death to enter this transcendental Vimana airplane, flying him to the spiritual world. Yeah. Meaning that for devotee, death is like a step. It's like a stepping stone. It's like a bridge towards another reality. It's very good. If there is some passable situation and you have a bridge, it's very helpful, it's very good, something to cross. So the death is a very valuable bridge to cross into another reality, into a higher reality for a devotee. Devotee's life is so auspicious that it will become way better. Whatever it is, even if you don't go in the spiritual world, it will be way better situation for next life to continue Krishna consciousness. We cannot even imagine the benefits we reap because of doing devotional service. It's very, very powerful. So it can only become better. And devotees die, often when we read about devotees or hear about devotees, they die in amazing ways. Very, very wonderful death actually. Very, very wonderful. How they conquer death actually. And are not afraid. Krishna gives them so much realization in these last moments. It's also interesting that Krishna gives so much realization in the time of death that it becomes very easy. So it's said also in Bhagavatam, right, that when this ocean of material existence, this huge ocean, which is not to cross, impossible to cross. Nobody can cross an ocean by swimming, right? And nobody can cross it. But it becomes as big as the water in the hoof print of a calf, which is no problem to cross. So the mercy of the devotees, through the Bhagavatam, through all that what we have, this huge ocean becomes so insignificant. And this is what's the problem to cross then? And because the devotee will understand that, as we read here, that I'm not the body, he will really understand that I'm not the body. So there is no death, because I just leave the body. I just leave the body and I continue my existence. And he realized that before also in a great degree, that I'm living in this body and this body is external, it does all the things, but I'm the spiritual being inside the body. He has this vision and this consciousness. And then dying for him is no problem. He realized already that he is not the body. But if we are not devotees, we don't have devotional qualities, it's very difficult. Dying is very difficult because of all these attachments to the body, to the mind, to ahamameti, that's it, ahamameti, me and mine, my things, especially my family, my wife, my child, I don't want to leave. You're very attached, and it's very difficult, very painful. So the devotee has to detach himself. That's why traditionally you have the sannyas, that was very important. In time, leave the family, because this is the greatest attachment. Greatest attachment is to the family, children. Very strongest attachment you can imagine. So to finish all that, right? There's this Varnashram Dharma system, which is very helpful for leaving slowly everything behind, and then you take sannyas, meaning social death. You're already detached, and then it's way easier because you finished your business. Yeah, that's why I said we should finish our business in life. And then it's easy to die. Then you're ready for that great test of life. Yeah. So anyway, this was just one point here. These different problems we have in life, and how to see how advanced we are actually. So the advancement can be seen by our detachment, by our vairagya. It said vairagya, no attachment, no lusting after all these material things. Vairagya, right? You have no interest anymore. But at the same time, our attachment, our advancement should be valued, judged by how much we are attached towards Krishna. It's not just detachment, but attachment. So these both sides, which also go, they affect each other. So we can see how advanced am I, how detached am I from material things, and how attached am I towards Krishna. How much is my mind concerned with Krishna? How much am I already transformed towards a devotee who is, and there we have the examples of the gurus, of the acharyas, of the nitya siddhas. How are they behaving? How are they thinking? How are they speaking? How are they devotees? Yeah? And then we can see how much am I already like them. And that's why Prabhupada says spontaneous. There's a spontaneous attachment. This is not anymore sadhana. They don't have to practice. Yeah, in Vrindavan, they don't have to practice. Okay, get up in the morning, go to the Mangala, worship Krishna now. Oh, it's time for worshiping Krishna. They don't need all that. They are already transformed. They naturally, spontaneously are attached to Krishna, love Krishna. This is what they are. That's why it's called ragatmika, right? Ragatmika devotees. This is their being. Their being is being lovers of the Lord. Yeah. So this is the transformational process. Yeah? So we have to engage with Krishna, hear about Krishna and all that, and become really attached to Krishna and this, that, and then see how mind is transformed. How spontaneous are we already attached to Krishna? Because our attachment to matter is spontaneous. It's very spontaneous. That we don't have to think much. And when Prabhupada gives this example that a boy and a girl, when they are together, they don't have to rationalize and think. Immediately they are attached to each other. Immediately. Fall in love. Fall in love, fall in lust. As Prabhupada says, fall in love, fall in lust. Yeah, but anyway, this is spontaneous and immediately. The senses, they immediately want to grab, oh, a nice car. Oh, nice. Or this and that, or money. Yeah, whatever it is in the material world. Immediately, spontaneously. Don't have to rationalize. But with Krishna, okay, rationalize, sadhana, what shall I do, this and that. But how spontaneous? Yeah, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was running, spontaneously attached to Jagannath, full of love. Jagannath, Jagannath, the closer he comes. Right? It was real, right? This is not, and this is why it said this, you cannot imitate it. How you want to imitate it? In the morning when you wake up and then you're Nrsimhadev, Nrsimhadev, how maybe there's some little fire in us. Wake up, oh nice, Mangalartik will be beautiful, I go to the Lord now. Maybe maximum like that. It's like the maximum. Oh, this will be nice. Okay, I hurry up, I go to the but Mahaprabhu and all these devotees, they have like fire, a huge fire burning in their heart of attachment towards Krishna. Run and chant and cry and this and that. Huh? So this is, we can see how much am I detached from matter, how much have I given up all my material desires. I don't want to have anything. What is this verse? Yadi dasyasi me kaman varangstvang varadarshapa kamanam ridya sangaruham pavatas tuvrine varam. When Prahlad Maharaj prays, oh my Lord, he says, varangstvang varadarshapa, O best of givers of benedictions. You are the best of givers of benedictions. You give the best benedictions and you are so freely giving them. If you want to give me any benediction, then please take away all my attachments, my material desires from my heart. This is the only benediction I want. I don't want to have any material desires anymore. I don't want to have anything in this material world anymore. I don't want to be attached to anything in this world. And Krishna helps us in that. Either he takes it away or he frustrates us. He says, okay, get frustrated in material life, that you give it up. Yeah. Also, these things happen. Yeah. You want something and you get it and then somehow it doesn't work. It doesn't satisfy you. It's frustrating. Yeah. So, yeah, we have to get free from all these material desires. Nothing interesting anymore. Nothing interesting. Once I heard a lecture by Satchidananda Swami, and he wondered, how are devotees still interested in all these conspiracy theories? He really said, quite, wondering how, why, something he has given up many years ago. But devotees are still very interested in many conspiracy theories, what's going on in the world and the news and this and that. Now, how are devotees still interested in sports? Who was doing this, that? Yeah, we are attached to so many ridiculous things. Still. Yeah, so, meaning we should become serious. Because in the moment of death, you don't want to, You know, you're almost dying and your family is standing there, devotees maybe, and they're holding your hand, and then, oh, do you have any last request? What do you want? What do you need? Yes, one thing. One thing. How was Bayern München playing yesterday? Did we win? I want to know that. Yeah, this is what will happen. You will have that in your mind. Nothing ridiculous. Yeah, but it will be like that. Something like that. Yeah. Yamatuta's already waiting. We get you. Oh, what? Wait, one last thing, please. Okay, what? How was Bayern München playing? They will look at each other. What? Who is this stupid guy? Okay, take him to hell. Take him to hell. We bring you to a hell where Bayern München plays every day and they lose every day. No! Every day you watch a game. Every day you watched. What was it? This Champions League final where they were losing in the last moment. This game over and over and over again. This is the hell for the Bayern München fans. Yeah. Prabhupada was telling this joke when, what was it? There was a priest coming to these miners. They were all black, coming out of the mine. All black, just the eyes, right? Everything is black. The priest was preaching to them about the hell. If you don't pray every day and go to church, you will go to hell. And they, hell? What is hell? Hell, it's a terrible place. It's dark and hot. And they say, we are already in hell. Every day we're in hell. Down there it's like hell. And the priest was thinking, okay, this doesn't trigger them, this doesn't make them, bring them closer to God. Hell is a place where there is no newspaper. And they, oh no! But at that time, like 50 or 100 years ago, because newspaper, nowadays if you would say, hell is a place where there's no internet. Oh no! Hell is a place where there's no Netflix. Oh no! Things like this, right? Whatever. So at that time, the newspaper was the newest thing. Was like kind of, that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur was revolutionary, because he was writing Krishna Katha in newspaper. Wow, that was amazing. But this was revolutionary. This was in vogue. That was the thing at the time. A couple of years ago, and devotees said, what? You are preaching on YouTube. Oh, wow, this is so amazing. This is so far. This is so ahead of the time. I heard, I think it was 1 year ago, I heard a lecture by one Swami, I don't say the name. And what he said, yes, now we preach on, how was he said? How was he said? Yeah, no, he said this. Yes, we should be also on the internet, because the internet is the future. And this was, I think, 1-2 years ago I heard it. So that shows a bit sometimes where we are, which is actually great for him, actually, that he thinks internet is the future, meaning he's very traditional and very absorbed in the books and there's no clue what's going on in the world, Actually, it can be very good also. But I found it funny because I was preaching since 10 years or something on the internet is the future. So now ISKCON realized internet is the future. So we should be on the internet, right? This is how times changed. There was a time when when ISKCON was on the cutting edge of modern technology. Harikesh Swami, he was so on it. He was actually on internet there. It was in the 90s, and they had this COM thing, and they made a book out of that actually, which we have in our lager, Essential Truth, which were like typed conversations he had, kind of in an email discussion or something, and they made a book out of it. Or he made CD-ROM. He made a CD-ROM, this Bhagavad Gita CD-ROM, right, in the 90s. And he was on it, right? He understood what is now going on, what we can use, which medium we can use. And then somehow or other we lost track, we lost the train, and then in the beginning of 2000, ISKCON kind of lost that somehow or other, that we should use this medium. Or Prabhupada was going to TV shows or going to radio stations. So he was using all that. But what did I want to say? Oh yeah, so these miners, they were shocked by, there's no newspaper. No, then we don't want to go to hell. Yes, we pray every day. So devotees should also think, don't go to hell. Now we want to go to Krishna, of course. So, attachment to Krishna should be there. And this is the main process. And through this, we should become also detached from all this material entanglement, understand that we are spiritual souls. This is how we kindle, invoke our spiritual identity, because when we practice Krishna consciousness or engage directly with Krishna, some certain aspects in our heart of the soul will become contacted, and then they call it bhakti rasa. It's called bhakti rasa. There's a certain taste of bhakti which will be tasted by such a devotee, and he sees very clearly, this is different from material rasa. This is the spiritual rasa. So through this positive process, this positive experience, we can become detached from material things, because we can see, this is more important and this is better. And we should engage in that. And this only comes through engaging with Krishna, through His holy name, through Krishna Katha, through remembrance of Krishna. This bhakti rasa will become invoked. And we should have this. We should understand, what is bhakti rasa? Like in the beginning, when they speak about the bhakti rasa in form of the taste of the holy name, right? There's even the taste of the holy name. There's some certain taste, and you wonder, what's the taste? What's this, taste? But every day, Hare Krishna, you do because devotees do that. And in time, suddenly, true, there's some taste. This is what they were talking about. And you start tasting this wonderful flavor. And it's very special. It's different. Some spiritual taste. And then we should go into that. And it's for me very nice to see in my work when people get the taste. I have this Bhakti club, and where people can learn all about Krishna consciousness. And in the beginning, sometimes they join because of curiosity. They read that, they watch some videos, they think it's nice, and I joined this Bhakti club. And it's very nice to see how they become devotees, and where they go deeper and develop this taste. Yeah. And then they write to me and say, in the beginning I didn't understand anything, but now I know what you mean. And then they start chanting and chant every day and chant 16 rounds, and they're completely becoming devotees because they get the taste. And when we remember in the beginning, we didn't know what it is, right? So with time we become aware. And all the things Prabhupada writes, these are things which we will experience and which will become facts. And in the beginning is no fact. Like this point, love of God, love of Krishna. This was, what is this? Love of Krishna. It's very abstract, it's very strange. But when we engage with Krishna in time, we really develop love for Krishna. It's really true that this is natural to love Krishna, and that Krishna is very attractive. But in the beginning, there's no realization of that. Right? And every one of us has love for Krishna. Everyone has love. But it's not the full love. Yeah, I always say that when you think Krishna is nice, or he's really cool, or he's a wonderful person, this is already love. This appreciation that first we believe in him, that he is as he is described, and that you have some sympathy for Krishna. If it's just, we call it sympathy, but this is already love. It's a very small love, but it's already love, that you have sympathy for Krishna, that you really like Krishna, that you can say confidently, I like Krishna. Yeah, he is really nice, this cowherd boy playing around and doing this and that. I like Krishna. He's wonderful. This is already love. And the more this love grows, yeah, of course, then, and actually the love cannot, it has no limit. And of course, when we read about devotees who, when we say love Krishna, yeah, they have a high development of that, which was initially this sympathy. Yeah? So the devotee should go really into this attachment and make it bigger. And sometimes you might read about Krishna and some certain points strike you, right? When you read a Krishna book or other Lila Katha, and there's some certain points, or also in the Bhagavatam, and say, wow, that's really cool. That's amazing. That's wonderful, right? And many things we read about Krishna, and Doesn't strike us. It's just, yeah, nice, this and that. But sometimes, wow, this is amazing. So imagine all the things which are written about Krishna, it's that clear and amazing. And wow, Krishna is cool. And this is how pure devotees read. Or hear. Everything is clear and realistic and true, and they are completely engaged in that. And they really see, this is most wonderful. This Krishna Katha is most wonderful. Nothing else can compare to that. They only want to hear about that. And there's so many aspects of Krishna which are so wonderful. And every one of you has his gems like this, where saying, wow, when I read that, and you still remember that. Like once I read that Krishna had, as a cowherd boy, when he runs around like a small boy, he has hairs like the crows, the feathers of crows. And this was just one point which was striking, and I found this really amazing. That he has hair like crows, that is somehow in strands or something, and together. And I was envisioning this kind of wild boy, because this kind of wildish, running around and playing, and this is Krishna. Yeah? And so the Shastra becomes very alive and very, you envision it actually. And the more this consciousness grows, so we are completely engaged in this Leela. Or sometimes you read Krishna Katha, it becomes alive, and you're like in the whole pastime, you're like transported in this world, and you're you envision it, you're a witness of the whole pastime, and it's very alive. Sometimes Krishna allows us that to go really into the Katha. Yeah? And then it vanishes, we come out, and suddenly the old mind and consciousness, and I have to do this and that, and you're already back in Maya. No? So we have to stay in this reality. And this comes by chanting, and especially hearing Krishna Katha. Hearing from the pure devotee, reading Krishna Katha. And it's wonderful. So this might be my 2 points, this point of this lecture. Become detached from matter and become attached to Krishna. And both we should develop. But the positive, the attachment towards Krishna is the main thing, and automatically the other should vanish. But we should take care also of the attachments and really get rid of them, so that we will be ready when the death comes in the end. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes, Kapasindu. Microphone check.
To the microphone.
Don't be attached to the microphone. The microphone is attached.
Thank
it's
you.
not wireless.
Thank you, Prabhu, for this class. My question is regarding death. Also, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, one who thinks that me the time of death will attain my nature. Mm-hmm. And also, when you read Srila Prabhupada's books, and also in the purport, at least for me, it appears that Srila Prabhupada is very straightforward. He says for a devotee, it's like this: when he leaves the body, he immediately is transformed into the spiritual world even. It's very straightforward and very, very enthusiastic. For me, it appears like this. But on the other hand, then we get this information, which I never heard from Srila Prabhupada and never read in his books, that before we go to the spiritual world, we will be transformed to Krishna's Leelas in the Bhauma Leela. And my question is, maybe you can tell me, where does Prabhupada also this mentioned somehow, or you heard us about Prabhupada? And then also, how can I in this regard understand then Prabhupada's, but he seems he does not even mention it. He says the devotee goes directly to the spiritual world, which is cool. But how can I understand this then? And my other question is then, what is the maximum which we can achieve? Or what's the maximum that I could achieve, and how could I achieve this maximum?
So as far as I remember, and of course I have to look it up, the Prabhupada says that before you go to the Nitya Leela, you go to Bhuma Leela. As far as I remember, maybe someone knows where, but as far as I remember, Prabhupada mentioned, maybe not so often, but he did. And this is according to our tradition. Raghavartma Chandrika, as far as I remember, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, speaks about that very clearly. Our acharyas speak about that. So in Prabhupada also. So Prabhupada sometimes is not so detailed. When he says go to the spiritual world, what's the difference? Bhuma Leela, Nitya Leela. when you go into Bhoma Lila, actually it's even said Bhoma Lila is even more attractive because there's some features which are not there in the Nitya Lila. The main point is you are directly with Krishna. You will take birth then in Vrindavan according in a family or a situation according to your spiritual form which you develop. Yeah, so if you develop more like in the gopi form, then you take birth as a gopi, or if not then as a gopa, and you will live in such a situation. And then you perfect whatever was not perfected so far. But these are very slight, minor things, so to say. No? These are not huge things. You don't have many anarthas. So to get to there, you need to be extremely advanced. This is not just easily reached. And sometimes when we say, oh yeah, devotee goes directly to the Nitya Lila or directly to the spiritual world or to Krishna, and yeah, of course, every devotee does, and just 16 rounds, 4 principles. Prabhupada sometimes makes it sound like that, but from the other point of view, and my best practical example, before I come to that, is I don't think that's so easy. So it's not so easy. It needs a certain development of love for Krishna. Because if you would die, of course, Krishna can take everything away in the moment of death, so to say. But there are certain attachments, if they are not cleared, and especially not if there is not sufficient Krishna consciousness, you more or less don't want to go to the spiritual world, because the attachments keep you there. And just 4 regulative principles and 16 rounds might not clear that. It needs to go. You need to really go deep and transform ourselves towards being devotees. And as I said, a good example I have in this regard is when one of Prabhupada's greatest devotees, so to say, died in the time of Prabhupada's presence here, who was Jayananda. He was regarded even as a saint, the first ISKCON saint, so to say. And when they asked him after he left, because he had Blutkrebs, leukemia, yeah. Yes, Blutkrebs. Yeah, when he died because of that, the devotees asked him, did he go to the spiritual world? And Prabhupada was not saying, yeah, of course, because he's the ISKCON saint, this and that. No, he said, no, it depends what you think about that, how far he was being more shastric in that sense, right? Yeah, so it needs some certain, Krishna consciousness, right? And the maximum we could reach, if you ask like this, of course, it's like that you go after this life into the Bhoma Lila, because from there to the Nitya Lila. And I would be very happy if I would get that. It's not like, oh, no, it's just that. No, this is wonderful. This is Krishna is personally there. You're with Krishna. And there is not much difference. And from there you get transported into the spiritual world. Yeah. So, but in order to get that, we have to go really, really, really deep. And of course, 16 rounds, 4 principles are like the base. And I know Prabhupada sometimes writes like this, just 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, you go to the spiritual world, things like this. Huh? But as I said, Prabhupada sometimes was more general, kind of general presented the things, and,
Thank you.
That's my understanding of it. But maybe it's like that Prabhupada's certain blessing is there, that just 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, just be a good devotee, and you go to the spiritual world, or Bhoma Lila, whatever, both okay. And it doesn't, it might be a certain blessing there too of Prabhupada. And there's also this famous situation when Prabhupada said, if you want to go to the spiritual world, you have to be 100% Krishna conscious, and 90%, 80%, and then everyone's shy. So, of course, there's some certain blessing when we follow Prabhupada, especially when you preach, right, and all that. And in the moment of death, there's actually a lot of advancement made. That's we hear, as I said in the beginning, that many, many things which are not understood, Krishna reveals and helps a lot. Yeah. So, of course, there's lots of, because this I would say like this, it needs 2 things. Our endeavor, right, and mercy. Because from this point of view, it sounds, we have to do it, we have to develop our rasa and spiritual form, and it needs a certain percentage, and unless we reach that, it doesn't work. And the other thing is, you're ISKCON devotee, you stand 16 rounds, you distribute books, and yes, you go. Mercy, right? Mercy. And somehow or other, for me, I can just see it needs both, and which one has more percentage, so to say, it's hard to say. In the end, it's up to Krishna. But definitely needs both. And of course, whatever is missing, many things Krishna can also put on top. Yeah? But this he can see, and it also depends on the individual devotee. Maybe Krishna would like to, come, and it's okay, but the devotee Samarada is still too attached. It's a personal thing. That's okay. Still need this and that, and need another run in the material world. So, but anyway, personal endeavor and mercy both need to be there, but how exactly it will work out, I cannot tell. Yeah, okay, super.
Small point connected with that. What came to my mind, that's what I've heard, I don't know if there are quotes, also that the devotee can already be in this body, in the spiritual world, or what we sing in the...
Can be in this body, in the spiritual world.
Yeah, already with the consciousness, or what we sing in the Shri-Govashtaka, that the Guru is also assisting in the spiritual world, the gopis, in their service to Krishna. So are there some exceptions from very elevated souls who already in this material body are in the spiritual world, or is this maybe misunderstanding on my part?
No, as far as I understand, that definitely is possible to be already so advanced that you in your meditation serve in the spiritual world. Yes. Of course, examples of that are there. And okay, maybe because you ask if they have to go also then to the Boma Lila, or regarding what? Yeah, I'm interesting. What do they have to go to Boma Lila and then to Nitya Lila, because they are already perfected, so to say? But depends also, because there's certain. No, it is also an interesting point. How does this work? Because in the more advanced stages of Krishna consciousness, the Smaranam aspect develops a lot, and there a devotee actually serves in his meditation in the Lila. But then we have to see how much is this Lila already actualized or realized. Because some things might be meditation and maybe kind of a revelation of the spiritual world, or how much is he really already there in the spiritual world. And of course we have these examples. Who was it? Srinivasacharya, right? His story when he was meditating, and he was chanting and meditating, and it was like days already, he was just meditating, and his daughter, was it not his daughter, Himalata Thakurani? No, I think he had two wives, but who was his? Yeah, they were worried, what is he doing? Because since days he was meditating, and they were worried. And then they asked his disciple, who was it? Ramachandra Kaviraj, right? Ramachandra Kaviraj. Can you do something? And he sat next to him and started also meditating. And then he entered the Leela, and then he found Srinivasacharya there in his gopi form. And Srinivasacharya was also in a gopi form, and he was searching some bangle of Radharani or something, or a nose ring. Yes, he was searching for that, and he couldn't find it, and this is why he was late, so to say. And he said, okay, I'll help you, and they found together this nose ring and brought it to Radharani or something, and then said, okay, we can go back. So he was kind of really in the Leela, which is also seen because his disciple was in the same Leela, right? This was not just his meditation, so to say. Okay, these are very advanced things, and then we can ask, okay, does he, if he knows already who he is, and also he will know it if he's here in the physical body, there's no need for completing something, so why would he have to go to the Boma Lila? So maybe it's called Nitya Siddha, right? There's a difference between Nitya Siddhas being here or Sadhaka Siddhas, or maybe this concerns only the Sadhaka Siddhas. But you can look up in this Ragavartma Chandrika of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur if he says anything regarding that. So we could say like this one are Nitya Siddhas and the others are Sadhaka Siddhas. Sadhaka Siddha has to follow this process. Yes?
I have a specific question to my situation, because you said the hardest thing is to be detached from children and family. And you know, I have a child.
Yes.
And I'm at this point where I think about to detach myself completely from it, like emotionally. And that's a question. Is it good or?
Okay. When I have also a child, I have a son, and I'm aware of that, but I would not detach myself emotionally now from my son. Because my son, this is my duty, and I'm not soon entering sannyas. I said, when you take sannyas, when you're about to take sannyas. And normally you do that when your children are not depending on your emotional support anymore. Yeah, when they are grown up and they are ready to say goodbye to you too, as your wife. Of course, with the children it's not so difficult, not so serious, because you can, as a sannyasi, can see the children also after he took sannyas. But wife he cannot see anymore. So the wife must be really ready to say goodbye, right? But children in one sense also, because it changes the whole family dynamic. And if your child is small, definitely cannot do that and will not do that. And it's kind of violence toward the child to emotionally detached, or you're not my child anymore, I'm a soul, you're a soul. No. As you feed the child, you have to also feed it with emotions, with love, with care, and being there as a father. So we cannot do that. This is your duty, to love your child. Yeah? But when the child is grown up and all that, and then it looks completely different. So first we have to take care of the family. This is our duty. And also in a spiritual way, take care of them. Then when everyone is ready and peaceful, then you can say goodbye. There's a question from Okay. Yeah. Question, online question.
Shireen has a question. In India, it's often said that one should keep the spiritual beliefs and knowledge private to protect them from the evil eye. What is the deeper reasoning behind this belief, and should we still follow this rule?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes we hear about the evil eye. The evil eye. Anyway, yeah, something like this. No, but the point, definitely it's true that certain spiritual personal realizations we should keep for ourselves. For sure, that's normal. And but not just spiritual personal things, but any personal thing you should keep for yourself. And if you share personal things, then only with qualified people who can trust. Because if someone hears about something personal and who is maybe antagonistic or will misuse that, then you have a problem. So personal things always should be shared only with very trustworthy persons. And the other thing about spiritual things for us also is you don't want to brag with any spiritual realization. You don't want to get some attention or something, and you don't want to be proud. And evil eye in that sense, someone can criticize that and whatever. So both sides, either you get criticized or someone is envious, or you make a show and be. And Prabhupada was, as we see, was never sharing any personal things. He rarely was doing it, went and only in private situations. And now that she said, or that we talk about this, it's interesting because when you give a lecture, of course there must be some personal realization inside, and to make sure, better present your personal realizations in a, shastric way. No? Not say, I realized this, I experienced that, but rather what you understand, quote a verse, where you have some realization about it or this and that. You don't speak too private or say, I'm here or there. No? You speak in one sense, a little bit more theoretical in one sense. But which could make a whole lecture also quite dry, so there needs to be a certain art how to present personal realizations in a way that is not oversharing, so to say, no? And which is helpful, and which is not bragging also. No? That's a difficulty. But if you manage that, then the presentation is very, very helpful. Yeah.
It's that actually you should keep your chapamala.
Yeah.
You should keep your chapamala, your Ishtadeva.
Guru, I think Guru and the mantra. I think it was the Diksha mantra or something. Yeah, for sure. Because it's very sacred, it's very personal, and you.
We say also one should not, one should not, how is it? The holy name. You should not share the holy name with somebody who has no faith or intelligence.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.